Hey, good afternoon, Spartans. This is Mr. Miller with yet another episode of Riding with Rob. And my guest today needs no introduction. It's Coach Loren Montgomery from the Bixby Spartan football team. Coach, I know we've got a pretty big game this weekend, right? Or this Thursday. Our 8th consecutive state championship game. I know we've won 6 of those so far. Going for number 7, and another milestone, our 49th consecutive win. That's a lot to put into one ball game. So tell me how game preparations are going. What do you do as a head coach to kind of get your mind wrapped around all of that?
Well, just essentially make myself really nervous, and it just progressively gets worse as the week goes on. Kind of a unique week with Thanksgiving week and a bye week, and last week we came out and practiced Monday through Thursday, ended with a traditional Thanksgiving morning practice from 8 to 9 o'clock, and then took some time off this weekend. And the staff met yesterday, Sunday, and we're back to our normal game week schedule, albeit a Thursday game, so that's just a little bit different. But there's a buzz in the air, and I would expect our guys to come out and practice really well this week.
I noticed our moms and dads had come out over the weekend and did a little decorating in your offices up there. That's a tradition as well, right?
Yes, there's a buzz. Excellent posters. We have such excellent parents here in Bixby that support our kiddos, our players, and it's fun to be a part of.
It absolutely is, and certainly from a fan perspective, as a superintendent, I absolutely love to watch the Spartans perform on Thursday night, Friday night, whatever night it has to be, on wherever we choose to play, because you and your coaches have them ready to go, it seems like, every single week. And that doesn't happen by accident. I know that there's a lot of preparation that happens, not just during the season, but all the way back into last spring and into the summer in the weight room. And what are those things that you really attribute a lot of the success of this program to? I know about Team 21 and some of the other things, but what would you put your finger on as the keys to success for our Bixby Spartans?
You could go on, but I think continuity is a way underrated piece of the football puzzle, and we've been fortunate here to have a great staff. The majority of the guys have been together for a long time, so our kids are comfortable with that. They know what to expect from their coaches, coaches that have a growth mindset and continue to grow all the time, and then excellent leadership. We've got a big group of excellent leaders on this team that take pride in the way they train and the way they practice and prepare. And strength and conditioning, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about that. Strength and conditioning is the cornerstone of our football program and our calling card, and we feel that it's a competitive advantage for us and one of the best things we do in our program.
There's no doubt, and you really see that in the third and fourth quarter of games. Not always in our games, because our starters aren't on the field anymore, but in those big games where they've got to play all 4 quarters, you really see that advantage come out.
We hope so. We hope when our guys take the field, you can tell they're trained, you can tell they're physical in the way they play. And we also think just mentally that gives you a little edge of confidence about yourself.
And what I've noticed just being on the sidelines and listening to your players is, even when there's a mistake or somebody drops a ball or does something that they're not supposed to, everyone kind of unites around that. And there is that strong leadership you talk about, and nobody gets down. It's like, keep going, next play, let's move on. And I think that's also a big key to success. So Coach, I've had a couple boys who played high school football, and I know that on the week prior to a big game like a championship game, they're pretty difficult to be around for their mom and me. What would your wife say about you on a week like this in terms of how much fun you are to be around?
Well, let's not ask her that because I probably don't want to know the truth. But yeah, I think she would say that I'm uptight. I'm probably have a tendency to bite the kids' heads off a little faster than usual, and that I'm just a little bit of a different person. I think preoccupied is the word that she uses.
Yeah. Well, certainly explainable at this point. You got a lot on your mind. You want to make sure everything is ready. So let's talk bigger picture, you as a person, because we know that your character really shines through this program, and the expectations for your players and the leadership that they show really reflects the leadership of you and your fellow coaches. Where did you learn some of those skills that help you now as a head coach to become the leader that you are today?
I think my mom and dad, I'm really fortunate in the fact that I have great parents who have been very active in my life, or still very active in my life, and I think set up some initial values to the way us kids were going to be, and then also have had the opportunity to play for some tremendous coaches in high school. L.D. Baines at Sand Springs, in college, Tom Eckert at Northeastern State University, and then my mentor, I got to cut my teeth with Alan Trimble over at Jinx, and spent 10 years in that program, and so have had some really great mentors and people who have helped point and guide me in the right direction, and hopefully I've taken a little bit from each of those folks.
I know one of the neat traditions that you've shared with me on a personal connection is the relationship you have with your dad, and how I think on every game day you go and have lunch together, and he's always there at those games. That's an incredible streak that he started many years ago, and I know that has to mean a lot to you.
It does, and in high school, my dad never missed a game. I think in college, he went to every one of my games, even when he had to travel and fly and those things, and maybe he's just missed one or two in my time down here in Bixby, although I don't remember that even. So he may be a 100%er, and we enjoy having lunch every game day. In fact, yesterday he shot me a text and said, "Are we going to get lunch on Thursday this week instead of Friday?" And so, yeah, we'll be down at the Stepping Stone enjoying lunch on Thursday.
So I know this year was also a big milestone, winning your 100th game as a head coach. Are there any of those games, or a few of those games, that really stick out in your mind as you look back over those years and all the success that you've had as a head coach?
100 years is a lot of years, first off.
Did I say 100 years?
Or 100 games,
100
excuse me.
okay,
Seems like 100 years.
I know.
Especially those first couple of years when the wins were few and far between. But I think, one of the coolest wins we've had here was in my very first year. We went to Enid, and we only had about 39 guys on the football team. Michael Nelson, Coach Nelson, who's on staff now, was on that team, but ended up kicking a couple onsides and then throwing a reverse pass to win the football game at the tail end on a 5-1 Enid team that got us into the playoffs, and so that was very memorable. And then you kind of fast forward to 2014, that first state championship win. I remember walking off the field just exhausted, visiting with some of the coaches, and it was just such a great feeling. And I think for the community of Bixby, 2017, when we beat Jinx for the first time in 40 years, that was a big one. I saw tears in numerous alumni's eyes, and that was a big one. And I think the 57-7 win over Jinx was a historic win. It was one of those nights where everything seemed to go right, and just some of the plays that were made in that game. So we've been fortunate to have some really good wins, some great players, and just some memorable moments.
Yeah, I remember the one that really sticks in my mind that went back and forth was that 2019 state title game against Stillwater that we prevailed by the skin of our teeth. But that was a close one, and just players stepping up to the occasion. Yeah,
and speaking of that, in that game we saw Brendan Presley return a kickoff return to the house, and
deja vu.
Yeah, ironically enough, we saw that Saturday night in Bedlam.
Yeah, I bet that's really fun for you as a coach to see players move on and play at the collegiate level and have success there.
Oh my gosh, so much pride. Ethan Hall and Bryce Ray sent me a picture after their win to become bowl eligible Saturday against SMU. They both play for Tulsa, so that was tremendous. And then we've got 4 guys on Oklahoma State's roster, and that's just really cool. And then guys, all over the place playing college football, and so it's just so fun to see the alumni like we did Thursday morning at our Thanksgiving practice.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen a practice like that before, and where kids were out there in jammies and stuff like that. It wasn't a traditional practice per se, but there's a lot of value to that camaraderie and that teamwork that's built on days like that. So
You test the coach's patience just a little bit because it is outside the ordinary, and fortunately, we've got a extra week, and so that practice we consider kind of as a bonus. But when it didn't start off great, I noticed the guys kind of lock in, and some of the snuggies and things like that were tossed to the side.
Shed those pretty quickly. So, Coach, last couple questions. What is something about you, Coach Montgomery, that people don't know that you think they'd be surprised to find out?
I don't know. I mentioned to you that I told my wife I wasn't going to do family pictures anymore. It's one of those things with a photographer.
You're not a big fan of family pictures?
Yeah, the whole sweaters and all of that, and so. Lo and behold, this year she bought our family matching pajamas, and so last night we had to do the family picture in front of the Christmas tree. And
is this posted on social media somewhere, Coach?
I don't have social media, so not on mine. So
okay.
So anyway, don't go creeping my wife. But but anyway, yeah. So we did that, but it wasn't a long drawn out 1 hour deal with corny, yes, but it wasn't a long drawn out deal with photographer or anything like that.
Well, those are the things that you're expected to do as a good dad. And good husband. You have to do those things. And then I know that you are very much into your own personal health, and you shared with me once that your favorite vegetable is Brussels sprouts. Really, Coach? Come on.
Well, I like all sorts of vegetables, to be honest with you, but prepared properly, grilled Brussels sprouts or roasted Brussels sprouts tossed in olive oil and garlic. I mean, it's pretty solid. Asparagus?
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. No, not asparagus either.
Broccoli?
No. Cauliflower? No.
Man.
I know. I don't know. So maybe we shouldn't have lunch at a salad bar together. Probably not a good idea.
Well, maybe we can find a hot dog stand or something like that.
Of course, yeah, and then I'll join you. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck in these last couple days of preparation. I know that even though the Spartans are heavily favored, you don't put that past. Your players will be prepared. You know that Deer Creek can beat us just like anybody else on any given night, and I know you will have the boys ready to perform at peak level, and your coaches have spent a lot of time looking at film and really preparing. So best of luck bringing home a fourth consecutive gold ball this Thursday night and setting an all-time 11-man record for consecutive wins of 49 in a row, which will continue, we hope, into 6A1 next year. Any closing thoughts, comments?
No, I just feel honored to get to ride in the superintendent's truck and and talk a little football as well.
Well, this may be the most highly viewed edition we've had, so I appreciate you when it comes to ratings times and commercials and all that kind of stuff. It'll help me out. So, Coach, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.